Okay, in this final video, what we're going to do is we're going to loop through our list of countries and get the economic data for each one. So in the very first video, we got our list of countries by the individual country code. And in the second video, what we did was we got all the data from the HTML page. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to start off with so what we have to do is open up the text file and iterate through our list of countries. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a new variable for countries and just create an empty list. And so now we need to open our file. And we're going to set the mode to read. So we'll go ahead and call both the read method and the split lines method. If we come down here and just make sure that we're doing everything properly, we can go ahead and print our countries. And we'll open up a terminal window. And we did indeed get our list of countries. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and iterate through them. So if we go back to our previous file, we're going to have to clean this up a bit. Basically, we're going to have to move all this into a function. So I'm going to go ahead and define a new function. We'll call this process country econ data. And we're going to take in our country code. And what I'm going to do is copy this, and we can just get rid of this. Now we don't need this anymore either. Okay, so now that we have this, we can go ahead and import it in our other file. And just go ahead and put a print statement while we're processing this. And we're going to set up a new variable, econ data. And then pass in our country. Now, once we do that, we have to figure out what we're going to do with it. So what we're going to store it as JSON data, and then we'll just, for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll make a separate JSON file for every country. But first, what I'm going to do is go into our files directory and create another directory. We'll call this countries. And at this point, we can open up the file that we're going to write to. And so what we're going to need for the file, we're going to pass in our country code, followed by, we'll give it a .json extension. And we'll set our mode to write. And when we write to the file, to convert it to JSON format, because we're going to have a dictionary, what we're going to need to import the JSON library. And we call JSON the dumps method. And then just put our data in there. If you recall from down here, we have basically over 200 countries. So if we wanted to iterate through the entire list, this would certainly do that. But what I'm going to do for the purposes of the tutorial is just limit it to 5. So after we get past the 5th one, it'll stop. Whereas if I just take the index off, then it'll just work, but it'll just iterate through everything. Well, let's go ahead and save the file and rerun this. Okay, it looks like we processed 5 countries. So if we go into our files here. Okay, so we got a bit of an issue. What we did not do is pass in the country code. Okay, let's see if we're getting anything for our econ data. Let's just change this to 1. So econ data is none, so we need to figure out why that's happening. Okay, so it looks like the issue that we need to click on the tab here is, so we're getting the economic data, but we're not returning anything. So what we need to do is just, we don't need to set another variable. We can just return the result. And if we save that, and let's go ahead and try rerunning this. Let's just make sure, so we're passing our country code into the function, and then that gets passed in so we get the correct HTML page. What I'm going to do is clear all these out. Okay, we don't want to save anything. So now we have an empty directory again. So when we run this, if it works, then we'll actually have data instead of null. Okay, so it looks like we got some stuff printed out, which is a good sign. And it's like we just ran one. Let's just go ahead and run 5 of these. But first, let's inspect the file. So it looks like we did get some stuff back. Let's go ahead and close that out. Okay, so we got multiple files. If we just go ahead and inspect one of them. Yeah, so we got regular JSON data. Okay, and then what we could do with this is, let's go ahead and copy this, and then go into Chrome. Actually, we can go to JSON Lint Pro. Let me go ahead and copy this in here, and then, so we can see that we have valid JSON. So we have a few lingering issues. So with the overview, looks like there's a few empty paragraphs that got scraped and pasted in there. So we could have put some logic in to clean that up. And then we have different pieces of data like GDP, purchasing power parity, and then what we could do here is create like a dictionary, look up for like every single year. So 2017 would have a value. So we could basically redo that if we were to spend a lot of time on this. But for the most part, what we have is something that was just on a poorly formatted HTML web page. We got that converted over to structured data, which was our goal for this series. And with that, this concludes our series on Beautiful Soup. Thank you for watching.